All right. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me, and I hope you enjoyed our loading screen for the We Will Be Live soon. We love it. We wish we could play it all day long. So nice to have you back here. Today we kicked off with the European Gaming Quarterly Meetup, and now it's time for the Gaming Americas Quarterly Meetup. And we're sticking to almost the same topic because we were talking about social media in the first part, and now we're talking about creating your own personal brand. So it's a pleasure to have here Claire Vellard, now Adamu, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, Domenica Sot, and Katya Machuganova. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hi, guys. Nice to have you here.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
Hi, great to be here.
All right, so before we dive into the intro and questions, I just want to hear you say a few words about yourself and your companies and the career you followed. So let's start with Claire.
Yeah, hi everybody. So yes, I was Claire Wallard and recently just got married, which is always an interesting one for women in the industry and in any career when you're well known for a name and all of a sudden you're someone new. So I've spent the last few months having that is in brackets so people remembered it was me. I've been in the industry since 2006, so a really long time, what feels like a really long time, always in affiliate management. So I've worked for operators specifically. I ran an affiliate network for 10 years and recently have been working with a US affiliate running their affiliate department. And have recently, last year, actually become VP of Development for Soroka, which is a leadership and coaching company covering lots of different industries, and we are really, really proud to be coming into the gaming industry and have launched our flagship program, the Leadership, which is just over halfway through the program. So very, very proud to be part of that as well.
All right, thank you so much. Katya.
Hello, once again, and I would like to quickly introduce myself. I'm a product owner in GAN. This is Game Account Network, a well-renowned company, especially in North America, but also with our in-house game studio of Silverback Gaming. We are very popular in Europe as well. I'm part of the product team for our in-house game studio, Silverback, and I'm responsible for the game development. I'm actually an expert in digital media and video games as well. So games are my expertise. Recently, I have also been engaged with a lot of marketing initiatives within our in-house game studio. So it is a very important topic, the one that you have selected for today's meeting and discussion. And I will be happy to speak about those topics as well.
All right. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Domenica, she was probably just waking up in New York.
Yes, thank you for having me on this panel. I'm currently in New York for SBC, North America, so killing two birds with one stone, as we say. And I'm Domenica Schott. I'm head of marketing at Grid Esports. So as the name may suggest to you, we're working with esports data, esports live data. We're the official data provider for major sportsbooks and operators globally, and we work with rights holders on behalf of whom we provide this data to the industry. So Riot Games, Krafton, Ubisoft, these are our partners. And with Grid, we've been pioneering these solutions for a while, and the use of official data and the use of technology to extract this data and provide the best quality of the asset to the market, since it comes directly from the source. And obviously, given what we're doing and the fact that it's pretty niche and quite targeted and quite specific, having personal brand in this domain and building trust with the operators who very often are in the esports industry or hear about esports industry for the first time. So to guide them through the process of integration or make sure that they have the best experience requires a lot of trust, and that's where personal branding is also very useful and comes handy.
All right, thank you so much. We talked about this personal branding in this morning at European Gaming Meetup, but I just want to say that have you ever noticed how the iGaming industry feels like a packed elevator sometimes? You know, like everyone is trying to be somebody, squeezing in to make some name for themselves. This has been going on for the past years now. And here we are now talking about building your personal brand. It's like we're saying, excuse me, can you spot me in this little space here? I'm a leader. I'm a brand that you need to consider. So what's the game plan, right? So do we need to get our faces plastered in every gaming magazine out there or website or banner, or what kind of content actually sticks? Do you go with deep, insightful stuff or just keep spamming those top 10 list everywhere? And of course, we're going to talk about the awards. So can you actually hang a plaque on your wall and suddenly become a go-to guru in the room? And so we're diving into all of this today and figuring out if you can just really craft a brand that stands out in this digital industry, or which we all call iGaming industry. So either way, my first question would be for everyone. Of course, all the questions will be for everyone. So can you begin by walking us through how you have approached the process of building your own personal brand within the iGaming industry? Let's start with Claire.
Yeah. I mean, it's tricky, like you say, it's a really crowded elevator. There is a lot of people. Back in 2006, it was a lot easier, particularly if you were in the affiliate space, the amount of females was very, very small. So it was easy to stand out back in those days. Now it's incredibly crowded and incredibly competitive. And I think there is still definitely room to have a presence and have a voice and be seen. It's just finding your place, right? It's what can you bring to the table as well. So finding what is your specialty, because not everyone's great at everything. Even as an affiliate manager, there'll be parts of that you are really great at. And so it's making sure that or my experience is that I'm consistent with who I am, that I show up. You know, I'm known for a great personality, and always keeping in touch with people and making sure that they remember that I'm still around. Hey, how are you going? And adding, for me, I add that personal touch. So when I'm speaking to affiliates, when I'm speaking to operators, I try and remember something about them, or I try and, I'll look at some of the social media that they have. I have a lot of connections of affiliate managers and affiliates on my socials, not just my LinkedIn, because over nearly 20 years, I've built personal relationships with a lot of people. And I think that really helps when people remember, I put a story up, or they put a story up that they're traveling, they're with their family, they're at one of the conferences. And I'll be like, hey, I'm at the show, let's meet up, let's have a coffee. And so it is a process, definitely. And it takes time to build up your name and your reputation, and there's the slow burns and then there's the quick wins. There is, and I'm sure the ladies will attest to this, there's other ways that you can get your name out, and I think we'll come on to this about using some of the press as well, and writing articles and being on podcasts and webinars and being on stage. And it's finding your comfort zone as well, because what works for somebody may not work for somebody else.
All right, thank you so much. Katja, what's your take on this?
Yeah, building a personal brand within the iGaming industry for me involves several steps which I'm trying to follow while I'm doing this for myself. So first, of course, the most important for me is to identify your niche, your expertise, to determine your specific area of expertise and interests, and to try to do this. It can be anything from game development and design to content creation, marketing. Of course, I have found mine, which is game development, and I'm trying to stay close to this topic, to build my expertise around game development and features and everything that is coming on the game development scene. Also, creating valuable content is very important because when you share your knowledge and insights through various channels, such as blogs, social media, podcasts, YouTube, whatever, this is helping you to focus on creating content that provides value to your target audience, and whether it's industry analysis, tips or tricks or whatever, in-depth tutorials, this is really helping to create valuable content for your target audience. Also, engaging with the community is very important for me, to actively participate in any industry forums, online communities, social media as well, groups. I'm happy to be part of a few of the most important women associations, which are helping us a lot to build ourselves as experts in the iGaming sphere. So this is really important. It cannot go without networking. So attending industry events is part of the road. Conferences and everywhere where you can speak with your colleagues, other company representatives, because sometimes during those discussions, innovation is being born. So this is the way to do it. So to stay consistent, and consistency is very important. Authenticity, this is very important. And those are the few steps that I'm trying to follow whenever I'm building my personal brand awareness.
All right, thank you so much. Domenica, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think I can add to what the ladies have said, is to be authentic and to be competent in the first place. Because if you're good at your job and you're the same person online that you're afterwards offline, then this credibility will take you long way. And I think like building personal brand has to be deeply rooted in these two things. Because if you are not an expert in your domain, and if you don't treat people with respect, and then you hop on social media and you post all the wholesome posts that we see about people being thrilled that they can announce, or grateful, or whatever they are, these different forms that we all know from memes. If this is like your only way of giving back to the communities by putting yourself in the spotlight, then this is not really a long run. This is like a bit of a sprint, and you can get like a LinkedIn badge or something, but you don't really have a brand. You're an expert on one social media platform. And building personal brand takes much more effort, and requires you to be consistent offline and online, and to really ask yourself if this is for you as well, because not everyone is that outgoing, and not everyone is capable of maintaining the large network of people that would eventually come to you for an advice, or just to chat because they feel like you're the right person to do so. And growing your visibility comes with a bit of responsibility as well. And I think it's the first thing is to ask yourself if you're in the position where you can afford this time investment as well. And then if you check these boxes and you feel that this is for you, then it's consistency, authenticity, and competence that I think can really help you to achieve your goals in building the brand that represents you.
All right, it's a good thing that you guys mentioned the offline presence as well, because we've seen a lot of executives being so smart on social media, having the AI tool around and posting some very interesting stuff. But when you get to meet them in person, it's like you're talking to a different person out there. And there's no authenticity. There's the same person. Like you just go on the feed and you see at least 10 people posting in the same style, in the same theme, then you know it's AI. So it's like, have you ever wondered why iGaming execs are just always chattering away on social media, and they're just popping up in your news with their 2 cents, like it's like every executive out there is suddenly thinks that they're the next influencer or something, like, watch out, here comes my opinion, I'm going to tell you how things work. But seriously, why the big push to be to the herd? So I'm also interested about why is it important that iGaming executives establish their own voices within the media and social media platform, and how can this help you in a long term? Like, Like I told you, with the offline and online presence, on the long term, you get to meet those persons you are chatting with on social media, and they realize you're not the same person.
Yeah, I definitely think, you're 100% right in everything you say in that. And I think it is the right thing to be authentic online and offline. And it's really apparent if your personality online looks like everybody else and looks like an AI generated piece of content. And for me, sometimes I think I'd rather not, I'd not post I don't want to post anything if it doesn't resonate with me, if it's nothing, where you can repost stuff that has already been said, but it's in your way and your interpretation, or share something that inspires you, or share something that you agree with, or maybe share something that you don't agree with, and these are your reasons why, and it might not be that you have to put something new out, but you can join the conversations. And like Katja was saying, there's many groups and many social opportunities in this industry to join a community, lots of forums that you can join, WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups. So there's lots of ways that you can get involved. And one, you can get your voice out there, but also you can learn so much from other people, and people respect you for that as well. Asking questions and networking. And that's really good from an immediate point of view. You get to grow and you get to get your name out there. But long term, if you're in this for a career rather than just a 9-to-5 in and out job, if you're wanting to build a career, and there's so many amazing opportunities in this industry, you need to be in it for a longer game, and you need to be consistently out there. You need to be building your network of people that you can work with now, or maybe become it. You might meet someone this like I think SBC North America's this week. You might meet someone this week. You may not work with them for 10 years, but you've built a good connection. You've had a great conversation at a conference. Someone's introduced you. It's that long game where you just start, building that rapport with people. You connect on LinkedIn. They see what you're posting. You see what they're posting. And then it's those recommendations, and you get to be known as somebody that has a great network of influential people. And that's really important as well. It may not be the immediate gain for yourself personally. This is what I've learned, but it could be the way that, you're trusted to know the right people. You're in a great circle of people that can help other people, that have got something, maybe a payment providers or game solutions or whatever somebody else needs. Someone that can help. They're recruiting staff. Hey, do you know what? I met this really great affiliate manager. Not sure they're totally happy. I think you should chat with them. So it's not for your gain, but actually it just builds up your credibility. And I think that's also really important from a long-term perspective, sorry.
Yeah, by the way, shout out to all the viewers who are joining us from the SBC conference. All right, Katja, you're next.
Yeah, I would like to add that credibility and trust are very important here, because by sharing our expertise or insights and opinions on relevant, of course, industry topics, not on whatever we would like to share, iGaming executives can build credibility and trust in the broader community. So this is very important. Enhancing visibility and influence is also can lead to more opportunities for partnerships and cooperations, because at the end we are people. Businesses consist of people working with other people, so you have to be respected in your sphere. Also, to stay competitive, sharing timely updates, it's very important, because whenever you share a very, very fresh information, this is highly appreciated by your peers, and we can see those reactions in LinkedIn or all the social medias after somebody sharing something very fresh and new to the audience. Of course, networking and relationship building, this is already something that we mentioned, but something very important here I would like to highlight: the crisis management and reputation protection, because in the event of a crisis or negative publicity, having a strong personal brand is really important to establish your voice on the social media, and this can help you effectively manage the crisis or the situation and to protect your reputation. This is really important because we can see iGaming is so dynamic. Sometimes crisis happens. So it is very important that can we use those platforms to address concerns, to provide transparency, to maintain the trust within our audience. So this is something that I would like to highlight as well. Thank you.
Domenica.
Yeah, I just wanted to link back to your question and the context you gave for that, there are some leaders who are posting like AI generated stuff, or you talk to someone online or you observe their content online and you talk to them in real life and they are not the same person. So I think like one of the reasons for why we get like this abundance of content is that we also have multiple communication channels those days. And with the, it's scale up exponentially, that you have channels and then you have people using them. And obviously with that, the ratio of content that's good, so the content that's a bit trashy is growing as well. So I think we also just see more, and we're also much more demanding, and we also have very short attention span. So our expectations towards what's being published is that everything what we come across is flawless or is perfect or provide instant value or instant information. And I think that what creates also a bit of pressure on people who are posting. And to be honest, I don't blame like executives that they're using AI. It's like a tool that they've discovered.
No, it's not a problem. It's not a problem.
No. But just to just to comment on that is that I know it's not a problem, but in the way that like you're running a major company, then you have your communication team that's like in your ear, like constantly asking you why you're not posting 3 times a day on 5 p.m. on Tuesday or whatever, and then you also have this content, this article to contribute to, and then you discover this mighty ChatGPT or Cloud or any other model that can do this job that you really don't have heart for, of writing.
And you're
posts.
saved.
Exactly, you're saved. But this is not only you; they are like dozens of other executives who think the same way. So I think we're also in a funny time when we only learn how to use these tools and how to really make the most of it. And we'll see this like copy-paste type of a content, because people are also learning how to prompt chats and how to talk to them. And I think in the long run, it can be a useful tool for people who even posting content that is, let's say, like has more input from them than from AI specifically, that they can use it to accelerate the pace of production and to be a bit of a co-pilot for them. So I think it can be an interesting way to improve or to streamline content production. But when it comes to building personal brand for executives, so I've been working with Moritz Maurer, who's the founder of Grid, and Michael Westerling, who's chief sales officer and a co-founder of the company. And I must admit that it's been quite easy for me because they kind of invented the space, So it's very different once you work with someone who operates in such a niche, and then it's about amplifying what they've already achieved and the trust they've built. So they are different sectors, and I think what Katya said is very much spot on, that you need to find your niche and you really need to understand what is your contribution to the industry, because like in the long run, there is so much content and there is so many opportunities to be at the event, on the panels, and on any different communication channel you can leverage for yourself, that to finding this niche and to really like stripping down the topic that you will represent, because we can be tempted to kind of speak about everything and have an opinion on anything. But at the end of the day, there'll be many people like us, and it's very much the strength is in being really helpful and in being very competent and knowledgeable on the topic you're contributing on, and then consistently just finding the right opportunities and the places where you really can contribute, not only be seen, because these are two things that sometimes can be mistakenly taken as the same thing, and they're not. So
Oh, I don't know if you guys attended our session this morning or the viewers have, but man, I do need to find a different public because I have 22,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I post from like Katya mentioned that you need to post about latest news, stuff like that. I do that. We have about 300 news published per day in different industries. Among them, of course, iGaming industry, blockchain, fintech, AI, stuff like that. But every time I post the news, I get about 10, 15 likes. But every time I post something funny, like a meme, I get like 200, 300, 500.
Yeah.
So I probably need to change myself into a comedian or do some sort of a acting stuff, because that's not my niche out there, because most probably the followers are not following me for the latest news, even if we post about our conference and everything. So guys, have you ever tried juggling?
Badly, not for a while.
All right. So in my
Physical
opinion,
juggling, no.
yeah, in my opinion, promoting your personal brand while also representing a company is just like that. Just maybe that's like doing with those flaming torches, because it can go sideways any minute. So on one hand, you have the flashy personal brand, of course. On the other hand, you have the company's steady image you need to keep. So how do you keep both in the air if a theory disaster comes? So my question is, how do you balance promoting your personal brand with representing the company that you work for? Claire.
Yeah. For me, it's I might have a slightly different answer to the ladies, because I haven't been in a big corporate environment for actually a really long time. I've worked for startups and really kind of smaller companies. And so I think for those that are working for, publicly listed companies and things like that, they're going to follow a different set of rules and a different set of protocol. And I'm sure that there is a level that, every different opportunity perhaps has to be presented to management, and you discuss the opportunity and how does that look. Your name is featured alongside the company name, and I'm sure there is a process that has to be followed for that. I just unfortunately can't speak to it. My experience from starting as a complete newbie in the industry, in the affiliate space, and working my way up, I have worked in corporate companies, but on a smaller scale. But and then obviously running the affiliate network was brand new, and I came to the realization one day that every opportunity that I had found, and I built a really great connection through Clarion and Gambling Insider and all of the media outlets. And I kept presenting them to the bosses. I'm like, here, I've got this great opportunity. Do you want to speak at this? And do you want to write this article? Or sometimes I'd even write articles or press releases with their name on them. And I just one day kind of sat there and thought, what am I doing? I've been building this great reputation quietly and behind the scenes, and writing articles or getting all of these opportunities, and I'm rightly or wrongly, but I'm handing them to management. And one day I was like, oh, by the way, I've got this, and I just started kind of rebranding stuff to myself. So I kept it in the tone of the business, and I was a few times I would send them to either the owners or the like management, and be like, hey, I've had this opportunity, this is what I've done, can you just sign it off? And then obviously it became different because I started running my own consultancy, so I didn't really have to answer to a brand, and so I could represent myself and my own company, and I could pick and choose the opportunities that I had. And what I wanted, like we talked about previously, is about finding my niche and finding the things that I'm passionate about and I feel confident about and I feel like I have an authority on because of my experience, and that's where I would find what I wanted to do. But it is definitely a tough balance, I think, for those that are moving up the ranks and when there is a hierarchy in place. And I think it's how you approach that, perhaps to the management and the ownership, and say, what, because there might be something that you're presented with that actually doesn't fit you. So you're like, I'm not quite sure what I want to write about. I'm not quite sure how to answer this. And actually it is better suited to somebody else within the team or the company. But where you feel like it's a great topic for you, definitely be, I would say to anybody that has been hesitant about that, is be a bit brave and kind of present that. If there is a hierarchy, present that and say, hey, I've had this opportunity. I'm speaking from my perspective, but as a representative of XYZ company, our company. So that would be my advice and my personal kind of experience from working for companies and myself. And yeah, being that quiet, naive and nervous person that would give everything away and even write it under other people to go, actually, I'm now at a place where I've built my reputation quietly behind the scenes that I feel like I'm in a good place to publicly do so. So that would be my advice.
But you change your name and now people don't recognize you.
I know. Yeah, it's a very tricky one.
All right, Katja.
I've got to wait for the shows to do that, to stay out there. Sorry, Katja.
I think that by striking balance between promoting your personal brand and representing your company, you can effectively leverage your personal platform to enhance both your own reputation and the one of your employer, because this is very important. Also, now I'm studying my second master in intellectual property and technology transfer. So for me, it's very important to support the company branding guidelines. This is very important nowadays, to respect the intellectual property rights and to avoid using logos, trademark, or whatever in your personal branding efforts without permission. Also, I think it's very important to maintain professionalism in a way to avoid, let's say, engaging or controversial and polarizing topics which can affect or reflect poorly on yourself or your employer. It is very important to clearly define between personal and professional content on your social media as well, to make it clear when you're speaking on behalf of yourself versus representing your company. Or whenever in doubt, you can always ask and of course you can seek guidance if you are not sure. So this is very important, to stay true to who you are while stay professional to your employer and maintain this high level of professionalism.
All right, thank you. Domenica.
I think for me, it's very much about finding the common denominator for yourself and the brand or the company you work with. So for me, working at Grit is very much innovation. So Grit represents innovation in the space of collecting data and distributing data, and also establishing esports as a sport within the betting ecosystem and iGaming ecosystem. And for me, I've almost a decade ago, I worked at video game studios, and then I worked at Huawei, and I was responsible for go-to-market, for the gaming strategy in CE. So always at the forefront of something that wasn't really defined or was innovative. It was kind of checking the new space. So for me, it's always about finding these common denominators and the traits that you have in common with the brand that you're working at, and also the ones that are true to yourself, and then creating a consistent narrative and a personality that can be associated with these specific traits, and the brand is just like the extension of your personal brand, let's say. So it looks, let's say, not even credible, because credibility comes from even different things, but it looks consistent the way you represent yourself and you represent brand, and you're not personality switching a little bit. So I speak at a lot of conferences about the use of AI or in video games, or the collaborations between video games and fashion. And these are not directly related to my work at Grit, but they are related to the field of innovation within the video game space and within the technology space. And I think that's what's been working for me quite well so far.
All right. So now we talk about the recipe of becoming a thought leader that we would like to call wayseers, right? So these guys are always are at the forefront of everything. So what's the recipe, guys? So do you need to write some very insightful blog posts, or do you do some landing splashy media spots, or you grab a mic at the conference? Maybe you collect some awards, or just flood the social media with wisdom. So my question for you guys is what types of content have you found to be most impactful in establishing yourself as a leader within the iGaming community? And is it the case of securing coverage with media publications, and also speaking engagements, awards, social media, and perhaps combination of everything that I've mentioned? Because Claire, you mentioned about media publication and securing reach throughout this type of promotion. So what's your thought on this?
Yeah, I mean, that was my personal experience. So I've done lots of different articles over the years for all the different publications, standalone articles, as well as quite often they'll do Q&As. So Q&As are always very good as well. And they do, so publications online and offline, they do like collaborations. So there'll be 3 people that they'll kind of interview, or that will write their thoughts on a particular topic. And that's quite good as well, because you can get your name alongside somebody, you know, of an equal level, as a more senior level. And I think that helps with your branding, right? So if you're, and I'm going to speak from my experience, but if you're just a entry level, or just an affiliate manager, you're not a team lead, you're not a senior or head of, you may then be in an article or in a Q&A alongside head of marketing or VP of marketing. And I think that enhances your personal branding, that enhances your credibility, because your voice is, as you know what I mean, featured alongside somebody at that caliber. So I think from my experience, that's been really, really beneficial from my branding. I do it slightly less at the minute on LinkedIn, but I do see the value of that. But I do think I'll post when I feel like I've got something important to talk about. And as VP of development with Soroka, we've now bringing something new to the market. So actually, I'm using LinkedIn a little bit more for that. When it comes to affiliate marketing, I'll post when I feel like I've got something relevant. And then I use my socials, so my personal socials like Facebook, Instagram. I have both a personal and a professional, and I post on both. And actually, I've got industry professionals on both that I've built up a community over the last near on 20 years, which I hate saying. So yeah, I've done that. And also I'm a judge on the IGB Affiliate Awards, and have been for many years. So I think that, you know, if you are asked or feel like you have a way in with some of the awards, that could be an opportunity for people as well. There's many different awards through the industry. You know, you have the EGR, you have the SBC. There's awards everywhere. So I think that's also a way to really make your mark and make your name known. If you're a judge, it comes with a certain credibility as well. So I've been very honoured to be asked for the last, I'm not sure how many years. I'm not sure how many it's been, but many years. Speaking engagements, for me personally, it's not really my comfort zone. I love these online sessions. I do love them. I do less face-to-face panels. That's just my personal preference. But I know that they can be incredibly powerful for brand awareness, personal brand awareness.
It also depends on the size of the conference, but also depends on the quality of the content, because there are some large conferences like the SBC out there. Maybe the content is not that good as at our conferences. All right, I'm just kidding. Okay, Katja, what's your take on my question?
Well, I'm trying to secure as much coverage with media outlets as I can. But what I feel is my power are those in-depth industry analysis when it comes to game development, new trends, also trademarking game mechanic, let's say, or something which is very, very specific, and this is my niche. Of course, I'm trying sometimes also to post some educational content so that I can better communicate with my peers and share insights like guides or tutorials or how-to articles and so on. But it's really important also to go in depth, like with case studies, with success stories. And this is something which takes a lot of time and expertise. It's easy to post news or something, but when you go in depth, it takes time. So you have to go through the latest analysis online to make your own analysis over and to post it and to communicate it in the best way possible. So I think this is really, really important and makes you more visible when it comes to analysis.
All right, thank you. Domenica.
Well, I think that if you want to build a personal brand and really make it successful, the X factor, let's say, is to remember that you speak to people and that this is not just, a business goal to reach, 10K followers or be seen in all the media outlets or they have this badge or whatever. But it's also about like being a genuinely good person who helps people on the topic that you feel competent about. And if you have that as a foundation, then like personal brand will come naturally if you start getting involved in these initiatives and don't say no to opportunities. So don't wait for this one opportunity that you came up with 5 years ago is the thing you want to do, and ever since then you've been saying no to any other thing that comes down the line. Bigger, smaller outlet or smaller publication, it's always a practice, and it always helps you to get better at communicating your vision and communicating your expertise. Obviously, also not to go an extremely on the other side that you're like essentially everywhere, but be mindful about that as well. But I think being good at what you're doing, and then remembering that in the end you're talking to people and other and the industry is made out of, it's a group of people, right? So they will have opinion on you, and they will develop some sort of affinity or likeness, or they'll prefer to spend time with you or not. That very much comes down to how you treat people and how you treat these relationships you build down the line. And without that, personal branding, we talk only about positive personal brands, let's say, but it's also very easy to kind of build a brand for yourself that is not that favorable. And it mostly is done through actions that are not really empathetic and are not really rooted in genuine need to, or genuine willingness to contribute positively to the industry, but rather put yourself in the spotlight. So yeah, I think that's being good and respect people is what can get you a long way.
Yeah, talk about personal branding. Next up, the session after this is going to be the US update, the traditional one. And I see Bill already joined. Now, there's a guy who doesn't need an introduction. You don't even remember the company he works at. You know that it's Bill Pascrell.
Good morning.
I think we're meeting at SBC North America this week.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
Like I told you.
Yes.
All right, so here is an advice to all those that are feeling jittery about speaking and stepping up to the microphone and throwing their hat in the ring at award ceremonies and stuff like that. It's like being backstage before a big show and you feel all those nervous things coming up. So everyone is nervous at the first time they step on stage, but what's the trick to stepping into the spotlight without tripping over your own feet? That's one of the questions. And let's unpack some of the tips to help you shake off these nerves and strives confidently on stage. Or maybe even if you're accepting an award somewhere. We've seen that happen a lot of times. Some people just go on stage for the first time to accept an award. They don't know what to say. They're filled with emotions. Either way, not to mention the fact that they are first time speaking in public. So I think that there were some studies that said that at least 75% of the planet have a bigger fear of speaking in public than dying. So that's something very interesting. So after all, every leader had to start with their first speech somewhere or their first nomination. So my question, and Bill, you can join in as well. What advice would you give to those who may be apprehensive, nervous about taking part in speaking engagements and putting themselves forward at awards, maybe at conferences? So, Claire, you go first.
Yeah, I would just reiterate what we've said this entire session is just about kind of finding your niche and being authentic. And I think once you're in that zone of your genius and what you excel at, that breeds confidence. And the second key is preparation, right? So if you're going to a panel or a session or doing anything publicly, accepting an award, for example, or nominating yourself for an award, have that confidence, have that preparation, speak to whoever's moderating the panel, make sure you have, most of the panels have that like pre-meeting as well, where you get to meet the other panelists, you get to run through all of the questions ahead of time. And if there's something you don't feel confident, I was on a panel years ago at G2E, and it was my first panel at G2E, so I was super nervous. I was kind of a step on, so it wasn't my panel originally. And I went through the moderator's questions and I said, please don't direct these three at me because I cannot speak to them. It's something completely out of my remit. It was nothing I'd ever covered. And I was very honest about that. And I said, I'm going to fail, and this panel's going to just tank, and it's going to be terrible. And I want to give the people that are sitting here, spending their time listening to us, actually the answers they're looking for. So and it worked really well. He made a note. He was a great moderator, and it worked. The fact that I was honest about it, it made my kind of stress and anxiety reduce a little. And I studied the questions, and I'm like, okay, which ones am I answering? Making sure that I had in my head all the mental notes. If you turn up unprepared, your nerves are definitely going to be sky high. You're not sure what's going to happen. You're not sure what to say. So that would be my biggest tip, is make sure you absolutely prepare for any opportunities, ask questions, speak to the panelists, even if you're not, you have that initial pre-panel conversation. If you're still nervous, call the moderator, call some of the panelists, do your homework, do your research on who you're with, look them up on LinkedIn. Absolutely, that is the biggest recommendation that I have to reduce that anxiety and your nerves.
Now I feel bad that we don't do this type of preparation calls. Every time people ask me, let's do preparation, I said, no, let's go with the flow. And here we are, doing it naturally, right? So, Katja, what's your take on this? And in the meantime, sorry to interrupt you, Martin Lichka has also joined. So, Martin, you can also have your take on this. I will ask you the question a bit later. Katja.
I completely agree with what Claire already mentioned. Maybe I would like to add that I'm constantly challenging myself while building my personal brand together with my company brand. So it is very important to get prepared, but also to stay true to who you are, to what you believe in. When you are true to your values, to the values of your company, when you are true to your company culture, you cannot make big mistakes. So get prepared, stay true to who you are, and constantly challenge yourself, because this is the way we are getting better and better in what we are doing.
All right. Thank you so much. Domenica. You're on mute. Wow. It's been a long time.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. So there's also not much to add, to what Kirsten said. So wouldn't be that much if I stay muted. But I think it's mostly about getting prepared, and then don't overthink it. If you're already on the stage, or you already commit to contribution to any sort of content or panel or any other form of public presence or exposure, then just go with it. And as Katya said as well, if you're really good at this and you really, stay true to your values, then really not that many things can go wrong. So, I think that's the secret recipe.
All right, I think it's high time to tell you guys that we have around 800 viewers on the multiple platforms. So I hope you're not nervous about this because it's the end of the session. But Bill, what's your take on this? What advice would you give to people that are nervous at speaking at conferences? What's your best? Be American? Is that your first advice, maybe?
No, no, that's not my first advice. First of all, hello to everyone. Dominic, I'm looking forward to seeing you later. Martin Lichka is a dear friend. What we love about Hipter and your organization, Zoltan, is that you're real. And when you're real and you're yourself and you be yourself, not try to be something you're not, try to be an actor, if you will. None of us are actors or professional. I'm fortunate because I grew up in a home which was a political home. My father's a politician. And the biggest compliment I ever get paid, and I don't say it happens often, like my dad's a great speaker and he's real, right? 30 member of the US Congress, but he's real when you see him. Martin has met him before. So I've taken, when I used to sit on my dad's knee when he would give speeches when I was 5 and 6, I've taken all that knowledge. And then I became an attorney and a litigator. So, when you litigate, the most important thing is, and you're learning as you hear a lot of talk about it during this Trump criminal trial, for every hour you're in the courtroom, you need 10 hours of preparation. So think about like a 3-week trial, how much time that takes. And you can never over prepare, right? If you know your stuff and you're prepared and you speak from the heart and you speak the truth, that's it. It's not more complicated. What I don't like, but I have to do it a lot, is these pre-panel calls. We never do it with you, Zoltan. But Mark, I have to do them all the time, right? And they're just, I was told 20 years ago by a producer for a national broadcast. I was on it. It was called CN8, Comcast, all over the country in 100 million homes. And what they said to me is, Bill, when you're live, you're awesome. But when you're taped, you're not as good. And because when you're live, you feel like you're engaging. And when you're taped, you're just staring at the camera lens thinking, this is silly, right? So that's my vulnerability, right? Taping something, it doesn't give me the juice. Like I love the live stage. Zooms are a little bit different, although they're live. Sometimes they're pre-recorded, right? And go. And then the final point is just remember where you're at, the audience, whether you're in Prague or Lisbon or London or New York, where some of us will be today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Understand that it's not all the same. If you're doing a panel in Australia, it's very different than doing a panel in New York City. There are some commonalities. Respect the culture, personalize and localize your presentation. And as long as you know what you're talking about, okay, I don't like pre-scripted questions because I just feel I like the surprise. Like Martin will break my chops and he'll throw a zinger out there because he knows like I'll get through it. A final point. When JFK, John F. Kennedy, was prepping for his first debate, his father, Joe Kennedy, who was the bootlegger, liquor bootlegger in America, he was prepping his son. And so the question was, well, what happens if they ask me this question? Or what happens if they ask me that question? And Joe Kennedy had the best line, and I embrace it. I don't care what the question is, here's the answer. You need to be able to pivot to your core values, right? And I'm not saying if somebody asks you what's your favorite color, you tell them, well, I like the New York Yankees, right? And that's not what I'm saying. But like, don't be afraid. My son, Billy, who Martin knows, is now the general counsel for an Australian public company in the gaming industry, horse racing and sports betting. Billy did his first panel last August. His grandfather was in the room. I was in the room. It was a pretty big crowd. There were about 300 people. And I could tell he was nervous. But like once you do that first one, now he's like into doing another one, right? He never wanted to do it because he's a bit humble, not obnoxious like his father. I just think be real and understand the worst thing you can do is just go like this and parrot out some lines without some passion. Because you should be able to get passionate about what you do if you believe in it.
All right, thank you so much. Martin, so we have been talking with Claire, Domenica, and Katja about building your personal brand. So among these questions, the final question which Bill also answered is what advice could you give to those iGaming executives who may be apprehensive, nervous about talking at speaker engagement for their first time or maybe even for their second time, who knows?
Well, first of all, hello everybody. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Suppose the answer clearly is get yourself locked in a room with Bill Pasquale III for about a week. It will all rub off you and you'll be as smooth as it gets when it comes to public
We don't
speaking.
have that luck.
Yeah, there are not many people who would, absolutely. On a slightly more serious note, and apologies, I'm not privy to your full conversation, but I believe, and in my personal experience, it's a matter of practice. I recall doing my very first conference back in the day, some 14, 15 years ago, the first panel. That also shows my age, sadly. It was the Central Eastern European Gaming Summit out in Sofia, a great place. And I sat down, and to Bill's point, I also enjoy freestyling it. And in a few minutes, I'm sure you will give Bill and me another opportunity to show you some of the freestyling that we've performed here before. But as soon as I sat down, the fright stage, if you will, kicked in, and I'm sat there. It's like jitters. What am I doing now? Plus, English is not my mother tongue. And since then, I've had a ton of practice. And here comes the word again. I believe it's practice on top of everything you guys and ladies have already said. Stay true to who you are. Don't try to be what and who you're not. And try to the extent you can to enjoy yourselves. Because the other and final piece of advice that I'd give, if I may, is that you would typically get to ask to talk about what you do. So you would tend to live it and breathe it. So I would strongly suggest that helps. I suppose all of us have been on panels where we had no or next to no clue about. In my case, typically the likes of data protection. Well, there are ways of pivoting away from it, or you can brush up some of the basics, but then talk about something, try to bring in the context and move it to somewhere where you feel comfortable. So very long story short, not as short as Bill's, of course, or long rather. It's a matter of practice, in my view. So if you get an opportunity, even if you may not feel comfortable, to Bill's example about Billy the Fourth, just take the opportunity. And I would believe in a very small number of cases, some folks will prove to themselves that this is not their cup of tea or coffee, depending on your preference. I reckon most people will just ease themselves into it and they will enjoy doing it. You may not have to be doing it every other week, but perhaps, once a quarter when there's a conference and an opportunity, to your point, and I will shut up right now, to keep building your personal brand while helping your business or the business you're with to build their brand. All
right. Thank you, Martin. It's very interesting that 10 years ago was the first panel I've moderated and Martin was in it in Sofia. So very interesting to have this type of input. Okay, so Claire, Domenica, Katja, any closing words for our audience before we switch the mic to Bill and Martin for their US market update?
Yeah, from me, closing words of advice is be confident, be true, be authentic. and be brave, right? We all started somewhere. Everyone started somewhere. So you're not different in that respect. We all had nerves. We all needed to grow and build our brand. So yeah, keep plugging away and just try and push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone, little by little, and miracles and amazing things can happen and come your way.
All right. Thank you. Katja.
Yeah.
I would like to say that I'm really happy that Martin mentioned that we have to enjoy what we are doing at the end, because staying true to who you are, believe in yourself, challenge yourself, get prepared. Those are really important things. But at the end, we have to enjoy what we are doing, because whenever you are working your dream job, you're doing what you love to do, you're always successful. This is the way to success.
All right. Thank you. Domenica.
Yeah, just have fun doing this and like enjoy building your personal brand. And like I think personal brand generally comes after you're good at something. So if you're good at something and if you're on the panel and let's say you're in the iGaming industry, there is a very low likelihood of you being on the panel on biotechnology. You know, so if you're on the panel that you have something to say about, you'll definitely do well. So like don't doubt yourself, like be the first person that believes in yourself, and then have fun working and then building your brand. And yeah, that works, I think.
Thank you so much. And if I want to add that one of my great friend, Jason Forte, former professional basketball player, said that we each tie our shoes the same way. So don't worry about somebody being ahead of you or not. So thank you for this great session, and let's stay in touch for the continuation of this panel, maybe for another occasion. So I will now move the virtual microphone to the next session, which is going to be a freestyle, like Martin said. Thank you, Claire, Katja, and Domenica.
Thank you so
you.
much. Thanks.
Great pleasure.
Bye.